dawn of morning marks the sunset of a storied program. For one last time, a QF-4 jets down the runway and closes a chapter in Tyndall's flying history.
The F-4 is an incredible airplane that you...
Hard to believe that thing was built when I was born.
The aircraft's role is to serve as a full-scale aerial target that could be flown manned or unmanned to provide valid combat effectiveness testing for the military. Pilot Vincent Farrell flew the F-4 for 28 years. His last flight in the jet was in May, in what became a special moment with his son, who had the opportunity to fly beside him. The last of the 315 QF-4s that flew here since the program began in 1997 will be flown to Holloman Air Force Base, New Mexico, to serve its final mission.
I'm sad to see it go, but I'm very happy that I get to be the last guy to fly it out west from Tyndall. What a piece of history. It's incredible to get the opportunity to fly it.
The 82nd Aerial Target Squadron at Tyndall has replaced the QF-4 with a newer generation of full-scale aerial targets, the QF-16. Tech Sergeant Bert Trainer, Tyndall Air Force Base, Florida.
After Operation Desert Storm, the Air Force repurposed the F-4, once an impressive fighter, into an aerial target.
3, 2, 1, mark. Good, mark. Drone is destroyed in half.
The unmanned F-4, or QF-4, has been used at Tyndall Air Force Base as such for almost 20 years.
Okay, I received about 16 hours of academic instruction from one of the F4 instructor pilots here in the 82nd Det. And after that, I had 2 emergency procedure simulators where we went over different malfunctions that could happen in the aircraft, both in the air and on the ground, and then what to do for those situations to take care of those in the air and to get safely back on the ground. After that, I had 4 flights in an F4 with an instructor in the back seat. Mr. Jim Harkins, WAM, was my IP for all of those. And as my instructor, we would go out to the practice area. We would practice different maneuvers, different advanced handling characteristics, approach to stalls, and just basically aerobatics to get used to flying the F4 and what its responses were in the air. And then once we got back to Holloman, then we'd practice different both regular patterns to practice landing in the jet, as well as emergency patterns. So simulated single engine patterns, and then no flap patterns, and then we progressed into instrument patterns where we practiced as if we were in the weather, flying the instrument pattern into the airfield, both here and at Roswell. And then, so there were 4 of those sorties, and then that culminated in today's solo flight. Well, it's pretty cool because I will most likely be the last Air Force pilot to solo the F4 for the first time. It's being phased out, and in about a year and a half, the F4s will no longer be in the Air Force inventory. So it's a pretty big honor for me to be able to be the last Air Force pilot to solo this airplane. It's been around for 50 years and more, and it's flown in lots of different conflicts, most notably in Vietnam. It's been flown by the Air Force, the Navy, and the Marine Corps. And when you think about the number of people that have flown these airplanes, both in the front seat and then in the back seat as a weapons systems officer, and then all the thousands of maintainers that have worked on this jet over the years, to me it's personally a big honor to be able to get to fly this airplane at this point in my career, and especially in the point of the F4's career, where it's not going to be around much longer. So pretty big deal, I think, that I get the opportunity to fly this airplane for kind of its last few years in the Air Force, and for that matter in the United States. We're the last service that's flying these airplanes at this time. Yeah, I think what's really cool about this particular squadron, the 82nd Aerial Target Squadron, and specifically Detachment 1 here at Holloman, we're the last unit flying the F4. And what's neat about that is we don't, this airplane's been around for 50+ years, and obviously technologically it's behind what is around currently. And I think it's really cool that we're using these airplanes to test the next generation of weapons systems, both from a surface-to-air perspective and an air-to-air perspective. So the fact that we get to take these airplanes that have served their countries so well for so many years, and we get to employ the next generation of weapons against them and test them, to me is kind of the highest form of flattery that you can have for an F4 like this. For it to be able to, instead of just sitting out in the desert rusting away, for it to kind of go out in a blaze of glory by being shot down as a drone is, to me, a tribute to the F4 and what it's been for our country over the years. So the fact that we can use these, fly them unmanned as a drone, is just a really cool testament to this airplane and what it's done for our country.